Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms, has the lobby been attended to? Yes. Thank you, Chief. We request that all electronic devices be turned off or put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. I'm pleased to welcome you to the September 5th, 2024 School Board Action Meeting. The time is 6 p.m. and this meeting is hereby called to order. We'd like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of this district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest potential and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, pledge of allegiance, acknowledgement, public comment, consent action items, which include one item under board office, one item under executive services, which is good cause, which I'll at this point ask Dr. Savage, please provide an explanation for this one item.
Yes, Chairman. Speed based at the board's direction, and that was an adjustment to the board auditor, now referred to as the board auditor position that used to be called the chief auditor position. So that is reflected as a good cause addition to have due speed on that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. I hereby find that there is good cause to add this item onto the agenda. Continuing with the agenda, there are 4 items under academic services, 5 items under business services, 2 items under human resources, 8 items under operations, 1 item under public hearings, and 4 items under good of the order and other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Ms. Jordan?
I move to adopt the agenda as written.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Ms. Jordan and seconded by Mr. Persons. Please record your vote.
Bless you. Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0. As is the custom of the board, I will lead us in invocation, after which Ms. Morgan will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I'm going to dedicate this moment of silence to the community in Appalachia, Georgia, for the tragedy that happened there. Please bow your heads. Ms. Morgan?
Oh, that's okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Next on the agenda are acknowledgements. The character word for September is acceptance. Acceptance, they're on the screen. Recognition is recognition of the diversity of others, their opinions, practices, and culture with a favorable reception. The quote, "Strength lies in differences, not in similarities," by Stephen Covey. The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Jaslyn Martinez, a 7th grade student at Lehigh Acres Middle. Now I'm going to move on to the acknowledgements for September. The School Board of Lee County acknowledges the following state-recognized events for the month of September 2024. American Founders Month, Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, which is September 17th, and Freedom Week, which is September 18th to 24th of 2024. So, thank you. At this point, now we're going to move on to the item of public comment. Attorney Debris Bruno, please address the item of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The school board policy provides the opportunity at this point of the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comments are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent or board attorney may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language such as cursing, insults, derogatory language levied against an individual or a class of people are prohibited. Further, personal attacks such as name-calling are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, booing, or display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the parliamentarian. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the Sergeant at Arms. Per Board Policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20, 2 minutes if there are 30, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Chairman, there are 6 individuals that wish to address the board this evening. Time per speaker is 3 minutes.
Thank you, Attorney Debris Bruno. Please ensure you have completed a public comment card to provide public comment. The card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow. The cards are located with staff in the hallway. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but has not filled out a public comment card? Please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none. At this point, Attorney Debris Bruno, please proceed with public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will the following individuals please line up? Justin Ward, Marge Cox, Jill Pellis, Lori Liano, Anthony Call, Dr. Paula Porter.
Just want to confirm we're going to have the clock. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Justin Ward. I'm a science teacher at Riverdale High School. There are many concerning changes within the new edition of the Civil Rights Guide. I want to first address the issue of students having no safe space in school. From what I heard today directly from the board meeting earlier, if a student goes to a counselor a certain amount of times concerning questioning their orientation, they must be outed to their family. How is that creating a safe space? In Florida, there are no mandatory outing laws, and Title IX requires non-discriminatory treatment of all, regardless of orientation or gender. My other concerns today are about the changes to Title VII classroom and office spaces with the addition of personal items. I think this is completely asinine. If displays of controversial issues that can arouse support and opposition in the community as of 2024, some persons publicly still meet civil rights issues with opposition or hateful rhetoric. Does this mean this issue has no place or support in our classroom? Indoctrination takes many forms. Why is there no call out for the forced acknowledgement of God and the Pledge of Allegiance by students who may not share these beliefs? Are we under the assumption that all students believe in God? That's a controversial issue that has been heard by the Supreme Court, but to say seeing displays of inclusively as a threat to students is absolutely ridiculous. We as a district have a severe teacher shortage. You all know that. We get paid in this district roughly $16,000 less than any district around us. Time and money are being spent on updating what a teacher can have based on one-sided and political input. I'm not the one who is politicizing anything in my classroom. There are obvious reasons for teachers bleeding out of this district. At my school, we are told that we have to limit how much paper we have to print out to 500 copies based on paper and toner availability. I have 200 students, and so that means I can only have 2 printed assignments for the month. If I'm doing a test, if I'm doing anything like that, how is that fair? And then that's just me. Every other teacher, too, only has that amount. All that money could be put back into the students, support for the teachers, things that actually make a difference in a child's life, not this foolishness to appease voters. I proudly have my Hate Has No Home Here declaration in my classroom. I have it there to remind myself of the district's own policies against bullying and discrimination, which is a matter of public interest. As well, these issues were not political and they were made to by the district. I implore you to prioritize what you got elected for, which was to further our district and maximize success of our students. There's nothing personal, passionate, or progressive about any of this. So live up to the district's motto or please change it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marge Cox. I live in Bonita Springs. I'm a retired school librarian. You make so many decisions, and I appreciate the hours that you take to make good decisions for our students and staff. One of the actions you took today was in terms of the budget. And since we have one budget in place, I want to offer some ideas for the next budget. It's never too soon to plan ahead. So I'm going to share some research about school libraries. My research comes from the American Progress Organization, the Massachusetts Teacher Organization, and the U.S. government. You've mentioned that you would like Lee County school test scores to be higher, and you want every child to reach their potential. Great goals to have. According to the research from those organizations, one way to increase students' reading scores is to invest in school libraries and professionally trained librarians. A quote from the American Progress Study summarizes the findings. More than 50 years of research across more than 60 studies show that students with access to a well-resourced school library with a certified librarian consistently perform better academically. As we're thinking about how to help our kids reach their potential, school librarians could be a part of that puzzle piece to help them reach that potential and have their test scores raised. I hope you will think about funding professional librarians in each school so that students have a better chance of improving their academics and their test scores. Thank you for your time and attention to research. I know you try and make decisions based on data. You now have some data to support school librarians. Have a great evening.
Lee County Schools, my name is Jill Pellis. Lee County Schools must focus on supporting teachers, not controlling them. Board policy should reflect the State Board of Education's own clarification that safe space stickers, lanyards, pins, and decorations are not considered part of the classroom instruction and therefore permitted. We urge the school board to stop undermining teachers who are working so hard to create safe and inclusive classrooms. Instead, let's congratulate those teachers. Students who feel heard and seen and feel connected are less likely to bully, disrupt, act out, and yes, even bring weapons to school. In light of yesterday's school shooting in Georgia, I would think each of you would do everything in your power to encourage teachers to reach out to isolated and marginalized kids and bring them into the conversation. By decorating their classrooms with motivational posters and banners that proudly declare that hate has no home here, they are sending a powerful message, a message this world desperately needs right now. Being kind to one another is not divisive. Proclaiming that hate is not tolerated is not divisive. Addressing students and staff by gender identity is not divisive. Dressing in cultural clothing and celebrating our differences is not divisive. The ACLU states that the ability to discuss and debate ideas, even ones we might find uncomfortable, is a critical part of our democracy, and nowhere is that core principle more important than in our schools. Instead of writing policies that discipline teachers for engaging students in meaningful and relevant conversations, how about thanking teachers? How about celebrating their efforts to leave no child behind? Because when all students are engaged in teacher-directed discussion, understanding and empathy replace hate. Yesterday, my beautiful, sweet, innocent 5-year-old granddaughter, who just started kindergarten, had to practice a shooter drill in school. Do you know how that rips my heart out? You are leaders in this community. We rely on you to lead with dignity and compassion. We rely on you to open your minds and your hearts to make this world a better, more accepting place for our children and grandchildren. We rely on you to make schools safe for our babies and our teens. The path to safe schools starts with kindness. Instead of writing policies to stifle teachers, it's time to support them. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lori Liano. Thank you all for all your dedication. I'm here to talk about an issue that I've been having with the transportation department. I'm a mother of 4 beautiful daughters, 2 of which are attending the Lee County School District. Prior to selecting a high school for my daughter last spring, I reached out to the school district via telephone in regard to transportation times. I was directed to the transportation department. I emailed and called multiple times. When the West Zone supervisor responded, she told me I would have to wait. I explained it was a deciding factor in our choice of schools. The supervisor would not provide current bus route times. I live on Pine Island, and my daughter, we selected North Fort Myers High School. We received her bus time at 5:10 a.m., almost 2 hours before class starts. The mission of Lee County Transportation is to transport students in a safe and timely manner. I believe 2 hours is way too long. In the afternoon, usually it's more than 2 hours. Florida Administrative Code 6A-3.0171 states a secondary school student should not be on a bus more than 1 hour during the morning or evening. According to the code, she should not be picked up any earlier than 5:30 a.m., allowing for her to arrive at school a half an hour prior to her first class. There are less than 20 students on this bus that goes from Pine Island to North Fort Myers High School. The driver stops at every single stop in the afternoon, even though there aren't any students to get off. She does this every day. I've inquired with Mr. Paulino and Mr. LaFelice in the West Zone, but I have yet to receive a response from them. I've inquired the times again and again for pickup. I even did this prior to selecting the high school for Ida Baker as another option. But we chose North Fort Myers because my daughter went to Trafalgar Middle, A+ school, received a 4.0 perfect GPA the entire time there, and we wanted to continue that with the excellent choice of North Fort Myers High School for their curriculum. As I stated, I have asked time and time again to the West Zone. They've not replied to me. I finally submitted a FOIL request to the governor's office to find out the routes and why they're stopping, but no children are getting off. This bus has also stopped at the elementary school on Pine Island with high school students on it to pick up elementary school students. Again, when I inquired with the transportation department, they have yet to give me a response. Spending 2 hours each way on the way to school and home affects my daughter's life and our entire family. The school district should really...
Ms. Liano, thank you for your comments, but your time is up.
My name is Anthony Call. I am a driver in the West Zone that this nice lady was talking about. I come here today about our safety, about the way we're treated. Our safety, we write referrals and nothing is done. The 5 to 10 kids that are causing the problem on the bus and making it unsafe for the other students to be transported safely. And all we get is, well, did you write a referral? We're lax of drivers. Some of us don't even, like myself, I cover several routes to get the job done. I do 5 routes in the morning and 5 routes in the afternoon. I do not see my children except on Saturday and Sunday, but I put these children on my bus to make sure they're safe. You have given these parents the Where's My Bus app. We have parents that abuse that Where's My Bus app, come to our bus, cuss us, yell at us, cause us to sit at a stop longer than need be. You give them a swipe thing to swipe to get on the bus. Half of them don't bring it. They type in. I have one stop that takes 7 minutes for 31 students to get on because they type the number in. You're going to cause an accident when somebody slams into us. When we have a problem, your administrators at your school say, pull outside the gate and call the police. These officers here know there's a lot more to do out there to make us safe than have to worry about a bad child on a bus. Drivers are getting tired. They're quitting. They're not wanting to help. If you go to your schools and ask the schools that have long bus waits, it's because nobody wants to go help. Then we not only clock in for our RTM time, but then we clock in on the bus, and then our bus is GPSed. But yet we still have drivers that have to go fight for their time and their pay every week. You wonder why we don't lose drivers. The thousands of dollars you spend to train drivers, and you treat us like this and don't pay us what we deserve to be paid, that's why we have this problem, and this poor woman's daughter is 2 hours on the bus. But you know who it looks bad? The news media says it's us drivers. No, we neglect our family to take these kids to school. My kids don't see me. They're in bed when I get home. The reason I went to West Zone is because of our wonderful director who stands, Mr. Manning, will stand up for me when I go. So I just want the board to understand, if you want to see the reason you have a transportation problem, stand in there. See what these people go through, what the drivers go through, what dispatchers go through, what the routing goes through. And you will understand that there's a problem. Changing directors and changing each director to a different zone and giving us a new executive director is still going to be the same problem unless you come to the driver. There was one of you, Ms. Jordan.
Mr. Cole, your time is up. Thank you.
Dr. Paula Porter, Lehigh Acres. I have thoroughly reviewed the Civil Rights and Equity Guide. As has been noted by others at this afternoon's briefing and this evening, I have some concerns about the policy as a member of the EDAC committee last school year, and I hope to continue on that committee when it resumes in 2025. My biggest concern is this policy was not shared or reviewed by EDAC to provide community and committee input. In Policy 9140, revised in October 17, 23, it states the purpose of the EDAC committee shall be to monitor the district's maintenance of unitary school system and adherence to board policies concerning equity and diversity. I would argue that this guide goes against your own policy by passing it before you even run it by the committee. Given the committee's not meeting until sometime in January, I would encourage the board to postpone the second reading until the committee can meet, review, and provide commentary on this guide. We have a very strong committee with a very diverse group of people who are very well educated and know this information very well. And I would suggest waiting until then before you move forward on this guide. On another quick topic, I want to congratulate the board on the first steps of creating a policy for artificial intelligence. As you know, the Department of Ed in 23 states has already created statewide regulations, and Florida at this point has not. It's great that you're being very proactive on the AI policy. I would note that the most academic style organizations, including the MLA and APA, already have created citation formats for the writing of academic papers with using AI. But I also suggest that it's beneficial for faculty to be included in some type of policy in the creation and delivery of learning content and material. Faculty across the nation who I have been teaching, in fact this afternoon at 2 o'clock, have found the benefits of AI in creating accessible, meeting ADA requirements, and diverse learning materials. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you, Attorney Debris Bruno. Dr. Savage or Attorney Debris Bruno, is there anything you wish to address in regards to public comment?
Chairman, I know we had 3 speakers that spoke specifically in the equity guide, so what we're going to try to do is take those individual elements and just make sure that we've kind of captured the sentiment properly and then provide some specific comments for the board members to at least hear, just because obviously some of the conversations that I've had were not dissimilar to conversations that the team who developed and worked on the equity guide and contemplated with legal assistance as well. Anytime you're developing a document that is designed to provide guidance and you recognize that it will not always be well received by all groups, and so you are attempting to try to really stay abreast of the law. What it really tries to do is take federal laws, state laws, board policies, and take all of those different aspects and then put it into an operational means. And so that is a challenging thing to do, but certainly we appreciate the willingness of folks to provide their candid feedback. We would look forward to providing some insight to the board on that. That said, we did, on the specific comment that was raised about the transportation, we had two on transportation, one from the perspective of the parent, really trying to make sure that we're in proper standing with the Florida Administrative Code. That was already directed to our executive director in transportation, so they'll have a chance to review and provide feedback to that, hopefully by tomorrow, just of where that's at. They are certainly aware of it. And then the last piece on the transportation had to do with, in terms of just a number of issues that were raised in terms of, from a bus driver perspective, of how that is impacting their work environment. And so we also will be providing similar level of information on that. So it's just a number of things. We want to make sure that you as board members have kind of our basic response to that, and then we look forward to any more additional feedback that the board members would like. We'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Savage.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may just give a little bit of a history on the equity guide, because I don't want anybody to think that this is a brand-new document that has not been vetted. This document has been in existence since 2022. When this document was created, there was a committee of citizens from all kinds of perspectives, very diverse in their thinking and their beliefs, that sat down and went through this document with a fine-tooth comb, multiple meetings. In addition, this document was reviewed by staff. There was a committee and other individuals that reviewed it, and it was also reviewed by students. So this is not a new document that has not been vetted. What's happening with this document is it's being updated based on laws that have been passed and different guidelines and board policies that have been passed. So that's the extent of the change in the document. With regards to the transportation concern, the only thing I would add is just to be very careful when we're reading the Florida Administrative Code 6A-3.0171, because you are correct in terms of the hours and the time, but it also includes the word practicable. So we need to be very careful, because the limits in what the district is able to do is within that confines of practicability, which is in line with what the regulation requires.
Thank you, Attorney Debris Bruno. I want to thank the public and the members that gave comment. We truly appreciate this, and it's stuff that we absolutely need to hear. On behalf of the school board, I also want to thank our bus drivers and our transportation staff for their tireless work for our kids. At this moment, we're going to move on to approval of the action items under the consent agenda. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We're expected to review all the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items that you wish to pull for discussion? I will start with you, Ms. Giovanelli.
You got the microphone.
Oh.
I have none, thank you.
Hopefully by the end of the meeting, I'll get that right. Thank you. Ms. Patrica.
No, thank you.
Ms. Jordan.
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Persons.
$2.7 billion budget, and we can't afford 2 microphones. But anyway, no, I have no pulse.
Ms. Langford Fleming.
I have none.
Ms. Morgan.
I have none, thank you.
And I have none.
2.9.
So,
I have no microphone.
okay. At this moment, is there a motion to approve tonight's action consent agenda items?
I'll move to approve tonight's consent agenda items. Thank you.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Ms. Jordan, so moved by Ms. Langford Fleming, seconded by Ms. Jordan. Please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0. At this point, we're going to move on to the public hearing portion of the agenda. Dr. Savage, please present your recommendations for this evening's public hearing item.
Yes, Chairman. I recommend the approval to adopt the 2024-2025 Student Progression Plan, including secondary course catalog. The Student Progression Plan is reviewed and updated annually, if necessary, and presented to the Board for adoption. The effective date of this adoption shall be September 6, 2024.
We'll now recess the regular school board meeting and open the hearings. Actually, I just realized I forgot something. Let me pause that for a second. We forgot to recognize the administrators. That's my, that is my fault. My apologies. So let's go back to that first.
It'd be my privilege, Chairman. First, I would like to recognize Andrew Sass from the Maintenance Services that is now taking on the Coordinator of Maintenance Services position. I'd also like to recognize Todd Moore, who is a teacher on assignment at Lexington Middle, now moving into the Assistant Principal position. I believe those are the only administrators that are here in attendance to be recognized today.
Okay. Thank you, and my apologies for that. Congratulations to all the administrators, and Mr. Maurer, I swear I was not trying to forget you, sir. So congratulations. Okay, now we're going to move back to the public hearing items. My apologies to the board. At this point, Dr. Savage has read the public hearing items, so now we are going to actually recess the school board meeting and open the public hearing. The time is 6:31 p.m. As indicated, the public this evening is to consider Dr. Savage's recommendations previously stated. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on this one item only. The time allotted for the public is 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding the approval to adopt the 2024-2025 Student Progression Plan, including secondary course catalog? The Student Progression Plan is reviewed and updated annually, if necessary, and presented to the board for adoption. The effective date of this adoption shall be September 6, 2024. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to talk about said topic? Okay, seeing none. I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of September 5th, 2024. The time is 6:32 p.m. Dr. Savage, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing item.
Yes, Chairman, I recommend the approval to adopt the 2024-2025 Student Progression Plan, including secondary course catalog. The Student Progression Plan is reviewed and updated annually, if necessary, and presented to the board for adoption. The effective date of this adoption shall be September 6, 2024.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Board, is there a motion to approve? Ms. Jordan?
I move to approve the adoption of the 2024-2025 Student Progression Plan that Dr. Savage spoke on.
Is there a second?
I'll second Morgan.
Okay. Moved by Ms. Jordan, seconded by Ms. Morgan. Do we have any board member comments or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, then move on to recording your vote, please. Motion carries 7-0. At this point, we're going to move on to good of the order and other business. I will start on the opposite end, if that's all right, Ms. Morgan.
So Dr. Cupid McCoy spoke at our last meeting very clearly and firmly about our individual and collective roles when it comes to achieving our vision. And so I'd just like to reiterate it, because I think what she said is as important as stating our vision at every meeting. And essentially she said, individually and collectively, we need to embrace high expectations, high expectations, high expectations. We need to hold each other accountable for high expectations, not just ourselves, others. We need to ensure accurate, timely, consistent, and regular communications. We need to build trust with each other so it permeates the entire organization. She said it is the responsibility of each of us to build that trust, not to have the expectation that the person to my right or left is expected to do it. We have to act with trust because kids are watching us. They're watching what we do before they listen to what we say, and they're not going to hold themselves to high expectations or assume accountability for their actions if they don't see us doing it as well. I just thought she spoke so clearly, and I think, now as we get through some of the work that we've done today, firming up sort of how it is that we're moving forward for the school year and what our expectations are for the school year. We need to be very, very, very careful. We're trying to transform this organization, and we can't transform it if we don't have high expectations and if we don't hold people accountable. And our kids aren't going to do it if they don't see us doing it. So I felt the need to reiterate her comments, and those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Ms. Langford Fleming?
Thank you, Ms. Morgan, for reminding us of those comments. I do have a couple things. I want to say thank you to the superintendent for following up with reaching out to let our families know that I know that our staff, our SROs, and our safety department is doing the best they can to keep our families safe and to reassure them that their children will go to school, learn, and come home safely. So thank you for that. On a few lighter things, I do want to say thank you to the young man who came during our hearing and how courageous to come and speak to a board. So thank you for that. I used to tell my students in the classroom that I can't help you fix something if I never knew it was broken. So constant communication, not just with students, but I think that's what's so great about our public comment, to allow you to come and tell us something that's broken that we may not know about. So thank you for that. Mr. Call, thank you, first of all, for your service to our district. And I know our drivers are going above and beyond their call of duty. The one thing that worries me and bothers me is that none of our employees should ever be missing out on their own family time. And that I'm expecting to be addressed with not just our transportation and our HR department, because your family should come first. But I want to thank you for coming and speaking this afternoon, and for obviously the young lady that spoke about the bus situation in Pine Island. They seem to go kind of hand in hand. I was given the opportunity, because my favorite thing to do in this position is to go see our students thriving and our teachers shining, to go visit North Fort Myers High School. And it's funny that you brought that up, because students were so engaged, and it was so great to see teachers smiling. I went into, Miss Diggs took me everywhere. So, but what I loved seeing were students engaged. I didn't see students with cell phones in the cafeteria. They were talking at these cute bistro tables, and I felt like it was in a college campus, quite frankly. So I loved that, and then it started me thinking, obviously, I mean, my favorite thing there was the Hall of Fame with all of the jerseys that they display in the cafeteria of, Noel and Dion and Mike and all of them. But I wanted to just, as we are always building new, we're always talking about how many new schools we're building. I mean, I feel like we talk about our one-on-ones, we talk about on the board so much. I want to remind our construction and operations that don't lose your creativity with our school campuses. Schools like North, I know that it may, and I don't know if it's a cost thing or not, but don't lose our creativity with building our school campuses and making them feel warm and fuzzy. I've gotten to go to a couple of our older schools, like Fort Myers High and North and the Alva School. And I would just challenge you to, to keep thinking that way when we want our kids, whether they're 5 or 18, to feel comfortable and almost like their second home when they walk into our school buildings, not, squares and rectangles and things like that. So it was just something that caught my mind. And then lastly, I have been having discussions. I have senior somehow or another. I have a senior in high school, and we have been able to communicate with a college and career development specialist, and and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Savage, but I don't know that they're at every one of our high schools, or if they are, they're in a certain bucket of budget, making sure that there's room in the budget to be able to hire these. What a irreplaceable job for our students wanting to go, whether it's the technical route, the college route, the military route, whatever that post-high school life looks like for them. I mean, to me, every high school should have one, if not two of these. I mean, I just, like you said, with a $2.9 billion budget, I don't know how every one of our schools, because the application process, Ms. Patrica, I've heard you talk about on the dais, it's a lot. And there are so many families that don't even know where to start. So I just thought that that was something that I wanted to bring to the board table, and just maybe we could have those discussions, but something I thought was just irreplaceable for our district. And football is off and doing amazing, and so is bowling and golf and volleyball, and we talk about the sports, but I was able to go to a high school football game, and the one thing that we forget about is our amazing marching bands. And man, are they talented. We're a very lucky district. We've got some very talented some musicians, and I look forward to our student performances hopefully coming soon. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Langford Fleming. Mr. Persons.
We ended up on football, so I'll start there. I'm not going to mention FSU or Florida.
Yeah, just don't even.
But Jada and I were challenged to go to the Fort Myers game. And if we win, the Fort Myers High School wins, then our chair is going to wear a green shirt at the next meeting.
Green attire.
Yeah, green attire. But if he loses, we have to wear red.
Yeah.
So,
So that'll explain.
but he won't know either way because he's colorblind. But anyway, but I just have two things. Number one, I was invited to a round table 2 Saturdays ago in Lehigh with several pastors and bishops representing 200 churches, Hispanic churches. And I was, along with that, my daughter, Jenna Persons Malika, was there, and Senator Rick Scott. And we could talk about whatever we wanted, but what I did is I challenged the churches to teach English to their parents. Because we know 50% of our students do not speak English. And 50% of them are Hispanic. And over half of those have parents who don't speak any English. Okay, and I take that back. I misspoke there. We have 50% of our students are Hispanic, and about half of them are in English learning programs. And of those, even more of their parents don't speak English, because a lot of them are learning to speak, but the parents aren't. Our school offers a few programs, but it's just not enough. Because number one, the parents really need a program at night. And two, they need childcare. So they can come and learn English while someone's watching their children. So I thought the churches would be a great source of doing that. And they accepted the challenge, and I met with the superintendent, mentioned it to him, and he said the Lee County School District would give any resources we could to help them. So I'm excited about that. Then I attended the ribbon cutting the very next day the day before at Estero High School, their new synthetic field. And sorry to say, but a team from my district, Riverdale, defeated Estero. So, but the field is fantastic. This is part of a cooperative thing we have going with the village of Estero. They're going to spend $10 million building fields, baseball fields, tennis courts, the football field, a new soccer stadium, every sport there is. And we leased them the land for 99 years. What they have to do, one, is they have to build the facilities. Two, they have to pay, I think it's $10 a year rent, which is not much. But more importantly, they are in charge of all the maintenance of all the facilities. the city of, the villages of Estero get to use the facilities when we are not using them. We have first dibs on them, like for football games, soccer, anything else like that. So I think it's definitely was a win-win for the district. 50 acres of really nice recreational is just great. So that school's going to have some of the best recreational facilities of any around. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Persons. Ms. Jordan?
I think you guys have covered everything. Well, actually, I want to say thank you all for those who came out and spoke tonight. And Anthony, I've known you for many years now, and I know that you do this because you love the children and what you do to make sure. And that was, I felt the same way. I felt bad when you were speaking about your kids, and I know you've been doing that for years. And I thank you for your service and always cared about the kids. On another note, but I didn't know you moved over there. I thought you were still in South. So, but on another note, I just wanted to, school is, is started. I've had opportunities to go out and visit. Kids are, like Ms. Langford Fleming said, they're excited about being in school, being with their friends, and just being able to, and they're communicating finally off phones. So I do love that. I had an opportunity to go out to Suncoast. We had some residents out there who were concerned about the safety of their kids and had asked us to come out and walk the streets with their children. So I was out there the other morning in the pitch black at 6 a.m. waiting to walk children to school to see the concerns that they had. And it's not just out there in Suncoast, and it's not just a school board, it's county, it's city, and I think we just need to really start trying to work with our other county and city people, elected people, to make sure that we do have, lights, and we do have, because I was scared to death, and I was standing out there on the street, and trying to walk that, to that area to North Fort Myers. But I wanted to just, share that because I know that they have been sending some emails to us to go out there, and I did take them up on it, and I did go out there. And I just think that we have to try to work collectively with our other cities as well, because these streets, some of these streets are definitely not safe. I mean, as an adult walking it, it's very difficult. As a child walking it, and yes, of course, we have parents who are responsible for their children, but I think that's something that I would love to see us try to work towards, working more collectively with our partners. And again, I just thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Ms. Patrica?
Thank you. I want to reiterate what I said this afternoon in case there are any new watchers. Please bring your cars to Fort Myers Tech to have the students there work on them. The students there have no cars, so they're learning in a classroom, but they have no practical application. They can't put their hands on engines because there's just no business there. So it's my understanding, I was told today by Board Member Jordan that all you do is pay for parts, I guess, and they do the rest. So just consider it, please. Our kids will really benefit from that. So I didn't give my ITF update last time because I was on the phone, so I'm going to give that now. The level of participation, first let me step back. I've noticed a change at ITF, and it's because Chief Montemurano brings her depth of knowledge and experience to the table, and I believe that our employees over the next several months and years are going to benefit from that. And I'm really, really grateful. I think you got a heavy lift, but I know you can do it. So, I'm sorry, ITF is an insurance task force. So thank you. That's been a big change, or something that I've noticed over the past several meetings. Now on to the fun stuff. Walking Spree. 40% of our employees are involved in Walking Spree. That's huge. That's a lot. 850,000 miles. That is to the moon and back 12 times. Can you imagine walking to the moon and back 12 times? 75% of our employees walk more than the average American. The average American walks 3,500 steps. That's a little disappointing. But 75% of our employees walk more than that, which is great. 6,000 a day is the amount, 6,000 steps a day is the amount that we have set to get $1 a day. You know, that's the walking spree thing. And given the level of participation, we are going to have to put more money toward that. 400 people completed a recent nutrition challenge. Financial wellness has become a huge hot topic because of inflation, cost of living. 53 people have signed up for a supplemental retirement account. LIFT is a mental health related, incentive related program that has started, and family and friends are invited to participate. The focus really is on lifestyle medicine, food as medicine, and what they're trying to do is help everyone in the organization mentally, financially, ethically, and obviously through exercise. 43% of our employees have their annual, physical with their primary care, and I think we pay money to employees for doing that. And finally, did you know Noom is free?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes.
If you're like me and you count every calorie that you eat, I do it on paper and pencil and I weigh my food and all of that. Noom would make my life so much easier. I'm not entirely sure I'm ready to give up that control to an app, but the fact that we have it offered to us for free is huge because it's expensive and it's incredibly helpful, and it's like having a little cheerleader in your pocket. You know, when you make your goal, it rewards you by telling you what a good person you are. So that is my update, and those are my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patrica and Ms. Juvenilli. I didn't get it right.
I was hoping you had another shot at it. Thank you. I honestly can't imagine walking to the moon once, much less that many times. But I was told on the Noom thing that there was a limited to only 1,000. So that's a conversation that I've already just was talking to the superintendent about that, because I think that opportunity, I got to see why we can't have opportunity for, it was limited. So that's another, but I love the idea. Sirianni night was last Friday night, and I saw Jada there, but I didn't see you there, Mr. Pearson. So just for the record, or you see him. So I know I didn't see you either. So, but anyways, it was a good game. But yes, honoring the Siriannis is really a nice thing that school does every year. So I spoke earlier. I really would like to talk to the superintendent more about the paper shortage that was mentioned, because that was a conversation that's been ongoing for me. Is I don't understand the limited paper. When teachers need it, they need to be able to have paper and access to it. So I don't know. I think we've got to increase our paper budget somehow. Since we just passed a $2.9 billion budget, I think somehow we should be able to have paper for teachers. God bless you, bus driver. I don't know that we don't know that we need you. So know that you're valued, and we do need you. And I agree with Ms. Fleming regarding your family time. If you don't have that, I don't know what you live for. Driving that bus, you got to get back to that family time. So that's important. And then I am going to end my evening with the reason why I'm wearing pink today is in honor of a little girl that her birthday was yesterday. And I'm going to read a letter that her best friend wrote to us asking us to celebrate her friend. It says, "Good morning, my name is Skylie, and I have a proposal to make to you in regards to our school system. I go to Challenger Middle in Cape Coral, Florida. Like every school, at certain times of the month, there is a project, for example, the Sandy Hook Promise. Well, I would like to add one to it to take the place during September. You see, my best friend, Aubrey Wyatt, me and her used to be best friends, and we went to the same school until I moved. We stayed close. She recently passed away due to bullying, and it's come to my attention that there was nothing done. The same thing had happened at my school with this girl named Tamara due to bullying and not getting that help that she needed in order to thrive. She also attempted to harm herself, but the hospital was able to save her. It's gotten to a point where kids are committing more and more. It's terrible, so I ask that on September 4th, the day that my best friend Aubrey Wyatt was born, the day she hoped for, the day she had thought she would be able to live for that day, so that many wishes had been made. The day she will never see again, another reminder to her parents and her family the pain that is left. That day can be put to an end to bullying. Tell people her story. Give the people the resources for help. I know you guys are busy and you get thousands of emails a day, but take the time to read this. On September 4th, let's wear pink and show our support to no other than Aubrey Wyatt, my best friend who was bullied since the 3rd grade and who was supposed to graduate of the class of 2029. Let's celebrate her. Let's live like Aubrey Wyatt and show support to her family. If we don't stop this cycle, then who will? I'm going into 8th grade and I am going to be a voice for Aubrey Wyatt, student of Challenger Middle School, Cape Coral, Florida. Thank you.
Thank you for reading that, Ms. Giovanelli. Couple things. Mr. Cole, personally as a parent of 3 in the district, thank you. Couple things I wanted to go over. I wanted to thank the Lee County Board of County Commissioners for approving allocations for us for some hardening measures from the hurricane funds. I'm sure we can follow up with some of that later on. Next up, one of the reasons I was not at the game is I was at another game, Ms. Giovanelli. So I was at North Fort Myers game, and the week before I wanted to talk about was Cape Coral versus North Fort Myers football. And that was an amazing game because besides being rivals, the ticket count I was told was 2,300 tickets, which was the largest audience since the late 90s, I was told. So the spirit on both teams, it was amazing. So it was fantastic. So shout out to both Cape Coral High School and North Fort Myers on that. So last but not least, I wanted to wait till you were here in person. I wanted to congratulate Ms. Giovanelli on her subsequent election. I also want to... I also want to welcome School Board Member-elect Bill Ribble. Thank you. I don't know if you want to say anything after or not, Ms. Giovanelli.
No,
okay.
No, I actually forgot about that, but no, thank you.
Okay. So,
Save it for another time.
moving on now to Attorney Debris Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too congratulate you, Ms. Giovanelli, for your reelection. And I'd like to tag on to what you said with regards to our student who wrote you the letter, because this month is Suicide Prevention Month. So from the Florida Department of Health, in 2019, according to a youth risk behavior survey, male and female high school students were asked questions regarding signs of being at risk for suicide. 24.2% of the male students and 43.4% of the female students reported feeling sad or hopeless. 10.9% of the male students and 20.2% of the female students reported seriously considering dying by suicide. 8.2% of the male students and 15.5% of the female students reported making a plan to die by suicide. 6% of the male students and 9.6% of the female students reported actually attempting. 10.5% of the male students and 21% of the female students reported purposefully hurting themselves without wanting to die. So these are pretty serious numbers with regards to where our youth are at this time. And we know that the statistics are showing that there's a lot of mental health issues within our youth. So I just wanted to add to what you say and bring it home a little bit with the numbers. I just wanted to report that Corey Huffman and I went to the Florida School Board Attorneys Association meeting, like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and that's always great for us to be able to meet with our colleagues from across the state to talk about the things that are happening from a legal standpoint with the district, and also to talk about future things that we're anticipating coming. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Savage.
I already gave my earlier comments in terms of the earlier message, but I wanted to just answer the board questions that have come through so far. So the first one was about the career specialists. We were we're making sure, because I originally thought we had them in all of them, but actually it looks like at least one doesn't. But when I then wanted to give a shout out to our budget being adopted, I went to the budget and it looks like there's maybe even fewer. So we're going to verify that. Otherwise it could be all but one. That's what we believe. In terms of the paper allocation, we're going to assign it to business services, and they'll have a chance to provide some information on how that's allocated on that individual school-based level and that aspect, as well as the hardening funds from the county commission piece. We'll have some information on that, and then certainly, most importantly, the bullying-related suicide aspect. We'll have our student services area look into that and explain kind of some of the bodies of work on there, so at least we have some understanding of what's presently being done, but always we want to do more, because we hate hearing those additional pieces, but they often are a call to action, and they serve as a representative for everyone to just kind of keep them in your heart as they did for you today, and just you kind of raise to everyone's awareness. So thank you all for that as well.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. Next scheduled meetings on Tuesday, September 17th. There'll be a school board briefing at 2:30 p.m., followed by a school board action meeting at 6 o'clock. At this point, having no other business to come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is hereby adjourned. The time is 7:01 p.m. Everyone have a great evening.